Hey students, it's Mrs. Girot, and it's time for us to start working on project 2. So here's what I need you to do. First of all, you're just going to click on content and then scroll down and find project 2. And we are going to start with lab 1. Make a house, and we're just going to see how it goes together. In this unit, you will use the basic shapes to build a house. Make a door and a window for the house, paint the house different colors, and create an animation. In this lab, you'll add the basic shapes for your house. You'll use planes to make flat surfaces for the door and window. Use simple shapes to build more complicated objects. Add planes in different shapes and sizes. Use the 3D transform manipulator to prepare the building blocks of a house. Adding features. Add a cube. You'll start by adding a new cube. Blender creates a cube every time you start a new project. When you're done with these steps, you'll have 2 cubes.
In this screen, I'm going to show you how to add a cube. Open Blender. At the bottom of the 3D view window, make sure that you are in object mode. If not, press Tab. Press down 1 to return to the front view. At the top of the 3D view window, in the Add menu, point to Mesh and then left-click Cube. Left-click the Translate Manipulator Mode button. Left-click the 3D Transform Manipulator's blue arrow. Move the new cube on top of the original cube. Holding down the Control key while moving the mouse might make this step easier. Left-click to stop moving the cube.
Adding features. The grid as a guide. The grid is the series of lines in the background of the 3D view window preset views. These lines form boxes. You'll use these boxes to help you make objects the right size. When you pan around, the grid forms a plane that you can use to remind you where up and down are. How long is this shape? Is it 0 boxes long, 4 boxes long, 12 boxes long, or 7 boxes long? Let's count. Start at one end. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's see if we're right. The correct answer is D. The shape is 7 boxes long. Adding features. Add a plane. Complete the steps to add a plane. You'll add a plane anytime you want to create a flat surface for your 3D objects to sit on.
In this screen, I am going to show you how to add a plane. Make sure that you are still in the front view by pressing Num1. On the Add menu, point to Mesh, then left-click Plane. The new plane will look like a straight line. Make sure you still have the Transform Manipulator Mode button selected. Left-click the 3D Transform Manipulator's blue arrow. Move the plane to the bottom of the original cube. Left-click again when it is in the right place. Left-click the Scale Manipulator Mode button. Left-click the 3D Transform Manipulator. Scale the plane until it is about 6 boxes wide.
Next, add a door. You'll add a door to the house by creating another plane.
In this screen, I am going to show you how to add a door. Make sure that nothing is selected. If something is selected, press the A key to deselect. Press num 1 to return to the front view of the house. Left-click outside the house to move the 3D cursor. This is where you will add the plane. You'll move it to the front of the house later. On the Add menu, point to Mesh, then left-click Plane. The new plane will look like a straight line.
Move the door. Complete the steps to resize the door and place it on the front of the house. You may need to scale and then move the door more than once to get it where you want.
In this screen, I am going to show you how to move the door. Left-click the Rotate Manipulator Mode button. If necessary, right-click the plane to select it. In the 3D Transform Manipulator, left-click the red circle to rotate the plane along the x-axis. You want to make the plane parallel to the house. Panning around the house so that you can see the plane from the side view may make this easier. Pan back to the front. Left-click the Scale Manipulator Mode button and use the square handles to shape the plane into a rectangle. Once the plane is a rectangle, scale the entire rectangle to fit on the front of the house. Left-click the Translate Manipulator Mode to move the rectangle plane to the bottom right of the front of the house. Move the plane along the X, Y, and Z axes.
Add a window. You'll add a window to the house by creating another plane.
In this screen, I am going to show you how to add a window. Make sure that nothing is selected. If something is selected, press the A key to deselect. Press num 1 to return to the front view of the house. Left-click outside the house to move the 3D cursor. This is where you will add the plane. On the Add menu, point to Mesh, then left-click Plane. The new plane will look like a straight line.
Next, move the window. Complete the steps to scale the window and place it on the front of the house. You may need to scale and move the window more than once to get it where you want.
In this screen, I am going to show you how to move the window. Left-click the Rotate Manipulator Mode button. If necessary, right-click the plane to select it. In the 3D Transform Manipulator, left-click the red circle to rotate the plane along the x-axis. You want to make the plane parallel to the house. Panning around the house so that you can see the plane from the side view may make this easier. Scale the square to fit on the front of the house. Left-click the Translate Manipulator Mode and then move the plane to the front of the house.
I have found a very helpful video about snapping objects to get more precise placement. So let's take a look at this.
Hello everybody, this is a Blender quick tip section, and this one is about snapping and how to use the snap tools in Blender. At the bottom of your viewport down here, you will see some icons. There's a magnet and a drop-down list here, and the magnet is what will turn on snapping or off. I I prefer to actually just leave it off, and you can use the control key while you are dragging to enable it. So if I want to move this in the Y direction here, I can hit G and Y, and I'm moving it, and if I hit control, it will start snapping that. Now, this was at 0 to begin with, and so I can see my updates are going 1, 2, 3, 4. If this was off a little bit, and here it's at 0.471, now if I hit GY and if I hit control, you can see that it's moving in even increments from 1.47 to 2.47, 3.47. If you want to have it snap to actual grid increments, you can turn on absolute here, and that's this next icon right here. And when that is turned on, now when I move this, even though I start at 0.47, once I hit control, it will snap to the grid, and you'll get even numbers there. So the next snapping would be, instead of by increments, it would be by verticing. And what you're allowed to do here is I'll duplicate this, and what I'll do is I'll just hold down control. Oop, I have another thing turned on from previous tutorial. If I move this over and press on the corner here, hit the corner, and I will get the snap, and I will do that again, and you can see that. Now what happens here is it will snap to the closest from where it came from. So let's say I have a cube here, and I want to put it up on top of these 3 cubes. There's one in the middle here, and I want to align this perfectly on top. If I actually just grab this and try to do my snap, it's not going to put it where I want to, because I really need it to go from this bottom one here. And what's happening is it's picking the closest one. So the easiest thing to do here is just take it, move it roughly into position, and now I'll just go back into shaded mode here. Now when I do my snap, it'll snap it correctly because it's the closest match. Let's see. You can also do edges, faces. Faces are very useful if you have a object that's maybe it's rotated in space, and maybe you don't know what angle this is because the transform has been collapsed, but you want to put something right on that surface. Very easy to do this. We'll change this to face mode, and I'm just going to turn this on, which is aligned to the normal. And now if I drag over here and I hold down my control keys for turning on snap, you can see that it'll snap right to that surface. Whatever surface I'm on, it will snap that object to there. So that is quite handy.
How I would go about doing that last portion. So if I've already got a cube here, I'm just going to duplicate it myself, because why not? And so once I hit that duplicate button over here in my tools, you'll notice I'm not clicking or anything. I'm just moving my mouse around. It's attached to my cursor. I can hold down the control button, and it will automatically, you can feel those snaps happening. It is snapping right now. So I'm going to snap it to the height, and then just, whoops, I got to keep holding down control and then click it into place. How do I get over here to see this side view over here? Alt 3, or you could go 3 to view the other side. I just hit 1 actually. So, and that showed me the view that I was looking for. So I was in a different view than I thought I was. But I'm going to hold down my control button, and I'm just going to, that's going to snap right over. So now that I've done that, my 2 cubes are perfectly locked on top of each other like that in space. And then I want to make sure that, you know, in that video he had this toolbar over here. So go view, and that's the properties. So I'm just going to click on properties, and you'll notice that the Z value is 2 for this box. So this is up 2. Now I'm going to go ahead and shift both of the boxes so that they're actually sitting on top of the plane. I don't necessarily have to, but I just kind of like to do that. So I'm going to hold down Shift and right click to control the box underneath. And then I want to move these guys up so that they snap. So I'm going to just grab a hold. I'm holding my control and it just snapped right into place. And you can see it's right on the grid. I'm going to hit 1. And the next thing they wanted us to do was to put down a plane. So I'm going over here to create, and I will create a plane. And that plane is already down on the bottom. Do you remember what to hit to see the bottom view? I believe it was Control 7. Control 7. And then I can just hold down the S button and it will resize it, right? It said to go out 3 times, so I'm going to hold down Control and the control. You're going to snap 1, 2, 3 out. And look at the scale over there on the XYZ on that transform bar. I'm going to just click there. Did you notice the scale here? Perfect. Okay, so let's go ahead and click 1. And I'm going to hold my middle mouse down. And you can see that I've got this perfect plane. Everything's in line. It's looking so good. Hit 1 again. And this time I'm going to put on my door. So I'm going to create another plane. And I'm just going to grab it and move it over here so I can see it. And the thing with this plane is that now it's kind of facing in the wrong direction, right? And I want to rotate it so that it's going to be on the front of my house, if that's the front right there. So I am going to actually grab this rotate here, and you'll notice over here where it says rotation, and we've got X, Y, and Z. So I believe it's going to be the Y that I'm going to want to be at 90 degrees. So I'm going to hit enter and see if that does it. Nope, it wasn't the Y. So try X at 90 degrees, and there it is. Perfect. So I've got 90-degree angle here for my plane, and now I just want to snap it over to the face. I'm going to change to the translate tool, and I'm just going to hit my hold down the G, and I'm going to pick it up and I'm going to move it over here. And I can try and hold down the control button and see if it'll snap it into place. It's not exactly snapping it where I want it to. I'm going to go ahead and hit G from this view and snap it over here. And then that snapped it pretty good to the face. And then I'm going to hold down Control and just grab this and snap it. It won't snap over. There we go. So that's kind of how you can get things to snap a little bit for you and get those perfect angles so you're not just guessing. And then you can go ahead and scale that to the size of the door that you want it to be. And you can hit G and just move it down. Oops. And then for me, one of the things I notice is when I come to the side, you can see that it's actually really far away from the front of the building. So I would have a tendency to want to go ahead and translate it and get more precise. So I'm moving back and I'm looking at these values over here and how they're changing. So I'm going further and further and further and back in space. And so what I ended up doing is I just ended up manually typing in, and I decided to go negative 1.00010. And that was far enough away from the building that I could see the door visibly, and it was sticking out enough, because if it's too close to the plane, you won't actually be able to see it. And then from there, I just went ahead and got to my tools tab over here on the left, and I clicked duplicate, and I moved it over. But as you can see, it's for whatever reason that changed. So negative 1.00010, and now you can see it, and you can go ahead and scale it to the size of the window that you would want in your home, and hit G and grab it and move it where you want it, and drop it there. So by clicking. So that is kind of how I went about doing my house. But look at what happened there. For some reason, when I grabbed it, it just automatically pulled it out away, and I thought that I had fixed that, but oh, it didn't. Oops, gotta go negative 1.00010, hit enter. Okay, now it should be right on the face. Okay, so that's how you can use these little boxes over here to automatically set things where you want them, instead of just doing the guesswork of, do you think it's in line?